Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as IvyWinter. Thank you for joining me for another Disney video. Today's video is a request that I got, and the question I got was, what are the 3 attractions in each park that you recommend for FastPass? So the way FastPass works is you choose a park for your day, you choose 3 rides for the day that you want to get FastPasses for, you cross your fingers and hope you get them, and then, the rest of your day kind of plays out depending on when you get things done. You can get like a 4th fast pass, etc., etc. So when you're planning to book those fast passes for the first time and you're really thinking to yourself, like, what's worth it? I can tell you right now that there's a lot that's not worth it. And I don't mean not worth it as in the attraction isn't worth going on. I mean, it isn't worth wasting a fast pass for. Usually the ride waits are not exceptionally long, or it's not going to be an issue that like everyone's flocking to X ride. So there are certain attractions that you want to save those fast passes for and be thinking about on your 60 days out when you can book your fast pass. So I'm just going to go through park by park just to make this pretty easy. And we'll start with the Magic Kingdom. So the first one that you absolutely want to get a fast pass for is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. That should be your number 1 priority. That ride is already a few years old, but is still new in the eyes of Magic Kingdom goers. It is the newest ride to be opened there, so it's still attracting really big crowds. And some of those lines can get to multiple hours. It is like a 2-minute ride, if that, maybe a little longer actually, because there's some slowdown in the middle. And might not be worth it to you to wait 2 hours for 2 minutes. It is a really cool ride though, and don't let anyone who tells you it's a kiddie coaster deter you, because it is still really well done. There are just some really great animations with the dwarves that are awesome. The roller coaster rocks side to side and you can feel it, and it's really cool. And I was a skeptic who finally rode it and fell in love with it. So I really recommend going, and I recommend making that your first priority when you're booking fast passes. These fast passes do still disappear. They aren't as bad as they used to be, but there's a chance that you're gonna hop on and try to get the time you want, and you might be bumped to getting like a 7 p.m. fast pass because there's nothing else available. So Seven Dwarfs Mine Train for sure. Now from there, I feel like it's pretty open. It really depends on what time of year you're going and if it's a really crowded time of year. Consider if it's summer months and hot, get a Splash Mountain fast pass, because everybody's gonna want to ride that in the middle of the day when it's like feels like 100 degrees and they just want to cool down. So prep for that by getting a Splash Mountain fast pass. Totally worth it, especially if you like water rides. That's probably the way to go. But in general, just consider the mountains. They still attract some of the longest lines. So that's Splash, Big Thunder, and Space. And they're the classics. They're the more thrill rides, so to speak. Not as thrilling as maybe a rock and roller coaster, but people still flock to them. So maybe you want to spend your last 2 on 2 of the mountains. You should definitely consider those first. If they aren't your top priority and maybe you have young kids, another great ride to get a fast pass for would be Dumbo. They have opened 2 of them now, but that line can still get crazy. So it'd be really smart to get fast passes for Dumbo if your kid is really going to want to go on that. Same thing with Peter Pan. Not to poo-poo Peter Pan as a kid's ride. I know there's a lot of adults who love it. But Peter Pan has an absurd line all the time. I don't get it. I will never get it. It has never ended in all the years that I've known. And now apparently there's a cool interactive queue, which I haven't even seen because I just cannot bear to get on a 2-hour line for Peter Pan. But that actually slows things down purposely, so gives cast members more time to load people. But it actually makes the waits a little bit longer because people are stopping and interacting with things. But if that's something that you want to ride, your kids want to ride, then definitely focus on Peter Pan, because that ride always has a line, no matter what, just always. I think that about covers it for Magic Kingdom. You could get Fast Pass for Haunted Mansion or Pirates. In my opinion, even on the most busy days that I've been, And granted, I don't go during like Christmas time, so I'm probably, way off with things like that. But midsummer, Haunted Mansion's wait never really gets more than 35 minutes. And even when they say 35 or 40 minutes, I've definitely had the experience of it actually being shorter. And the same thing with Pirates. I've never really seen it over 40 minutes. Not that everyone wants to spend 40 minutes online, but when it's compared to a few hours, it's not top priority for getting a fast pass for. But, what I'm going to say for all of these, just to preface, is like, it really is up to individual choice and what you really, really want to do. So these are just what I think need to be done based on like popularity, but absolutely, if you want to get fast passes for Haunted Mansion, Jungle Cruise, and Pirates, then go forth and do that. So moving on to Epcot, because we're just going to go in the order that the parks opened. Frozen. That is the newest ride in all the parks. It is attracting crazy crowds. When it first opened, the lines were 4 hours, and this ride is not a long ride. You do not want to wait 4 hours, trust me. But you do want to go on it because it's amazing. The technology that they use in this ride is fantastic. And I don't even like Frozen. I'll be the first to say it. I don't like Frozen, but it gave me chills just the way that everything was done. So good. And that was not a pun that was intended. I just realized chills Frozen. Go for it, and I wish you luck because these are going so fast. This is like wake up. Is it now? So I think it actually might have moved. It used to be 7 in the morning that you'd have to book. I think now it's midnight, which is actually better to like stay up to midnight than to wake yourself up at 7 a.m. personally. Anyway, point is, move on that. As soon as you've got your 60 days, move on Frozen, and you still might not get it because people are clamoring to ride this ride. If you are struggling and you have a big party, maybe try breaking down the party into smaller groups for fast passes and get as close to the times together as you possibly can, so maybe you can overlap and go together. That does help with availability, but I wish you super luck getting a Frozen fast pass. And then the next would be Soarin'. Soarin' has always been really popular, but now that they have redone it, they've upgraded the videos to Soarin' Around the World. The actual screens themselves are like way better. They added a new theater. It's become really popular again. I mean, I don't think it ever lost popularity, but the lines are definitely rising again. So Soarin' should be your second pick for fast passes. Now, Epcot is one of those parks where things are in tiers, and so you can only do so many rides from one tier and so many rides from another tier. It's kind of annoying, but that's how they kind of break up some of their big ticket rides so that you can't necessarily get a fast pass for all of them. So here's the caveat with choosing Frozen and Soarin'. You gotta choose one. They're both in the same tier, so they're not gonna let you book Frozen and Soarin'. I know, it's really annoying, but that's how it works. Also in that grouping is Test Track. Also really annoying. I know, I apologize, I'm sorry. So Test Track is the third really big one. So you need to decide, do you care about Frozen and seeing a brand new ride? Do you care about seeing the new video in Soarin', which is fantastic, I highly recommend it? Do you love Test Track and you really want to experience that? Because you're going to have to pick one out of the 3 in that tier because they will not let you book fast passes at the other 2. Also included in that is fast passes for Illuminations, which means getting a special viewing spot. But I don't think that's really required. That's a personal thing. I think you can get great views from all around the World Showcase. So I don't think that that's really necessary. But yeah, you need to make your decision on Test Track, Soarin', Frozen, because you're only going to get one of those. And what else do you feel is worth waiting for? That's really the question. So, okay, put those all aside. You've made that decision. You've got 2 more fast passes. What do you use them for? Mission Space doesn't really have as long of a line as it used to anymore, but it's still a good one to fast pass because you never know. Sometimes also if Test Track goes down, Mission Space's waits go up because it's right next door, so people funnel over there. So probably a good idea to do Mission Space. And then your last option, to be quite frank, most of the other rides that have fast passes, I've never needed a fast pass for. Seriously. Like, Spaceship Earth has never been more than like a 5-minute wait for me at any time of the year, maybe 10 minutes at most on busy times of the year. You know, Living with the Land tends to be a really short wait. You know, I think it depends on just what's most important to you. Turtle Talk with Crush has FastPasses, so that might be good if you want to get in first ahead of other people, so that like if you have kids, they can be up in the front and get picked to like be talked to and stuff. But yeah, I feel like, and this is a personal thing, but for me, that third one, it's always kind of a meh. I'll just book something random, kind of fast pass for me in Epcot. That's just me. Moving on to Hollywood Studios. Good old used to be MGM. Also has tiers. I know, so annoying, right? And it kind of throws a wrench in planning, but it's good if you know this ahead of time because you'll be able to figure it out. Anyway, your tier ones, the two that I think are most important, are Rock and Roller Coaster and Toy Story Midway Mania. Fantasmic comes in at a third. Fantasmic, again, you get a fast pass, you get special seating, you get to go in first, you get a great view. Now, if that is your priority, you love those nighttime shows, then maybe that's what you want to use this on. But generally, I find that the decision to be made is between Toy Story Midway Mania and Rock and Roller Coaster. And that really has everything to do with preference. Toy Story Midway Mania does still have long lines. They did open another track, which is supposed to be helping with that a little bit. But if you're into 3D video games, fast-paced, if you like Toy Story, and if you like sort of that competitive nature, then choose that one. And if you really like roller coasters, Rock and Roller Coaster is like one of the best coasters Disney has. So if that's your thing, choose Rock and Roller Coaster. So again, it's really about preference. It's about who you're traveling with. But you do only get to choose one of those two. Tier 2, you have Tower of Terror. So you can always get a fast pass for Tower of Terror, and you should, because it's great and it's a classic. And sometimes that line can be long depending on what time of year you go. And then I would say the other one worth it is Star Tours. Star Tours is so interesting. Sometimes I go and the wait is a walk-on, and sometimes I go and I can't even believe where the line is, you know? And that's not even like off and on seasons. Like, it's just really random to me. But because Star Wars is really, you know, mainstream again, unless if it ever wasn't, but you know what I mean, with all the new movies coming out and all that, people are flocking back to Star Tours. It's got these new scenes in it from episode 7. It's gonna have more new scenes in it from episode 8. So it's gonna start becoming popular again. So definitely get a fast pass for that. So the great thing about Animal Kingdom is that you don't have to worry about these tiers, at least not yet. Might happen when Avatar Land fully opens in the summer, who knows? But for right now, you can do whatever you want. I'm actually going to talk about 4 attractions, and you got to pick the 3 that you think you'd really want to do. But these are the 4 that I think are worth getting fast passes for. 1 is really obvious, Expedition Everest. Expedition Everest is the quintessential coaster. Beyond the tree, it is probably the second most recognizable thing in the park with the big Mount Everest. And it is wildly popular. Again, no pun intended. I'm really good with these puns today. And if you're a thrill seeker, do it. Definitely get a fast pass for that. 2 is Kilimanjaro Safaris. That line can get really long, and if it's really hot, it's not comfortable. So definitely get a fast pass. I find that it's great to go in the mornings. The animals are a little bit more out and about, because in the midday when it gets hot, they're just chilling and laying low, staying in the shade or staying inside their little caverns or whatnot. So you'll probably actually see more activity in the morning. And now that Animal Kingdom has extended its hours, you will see more activity as it goes into evening, and that special like sunset safari that they have. So if that's something you want to experience, consider your timing there. But definitely Kilimanjaro Safaris. 3rd is Cali River Rapids. It's kind of like Peter Pan, where it just always seems to have a line, as long as it's open. Again, a water ride, so it might not be open in, say, January, but, you know, the other times of the year when it is, it's just super popular. People want to cool off. Animal Kingdom is a very hot park because there's not as many indoor buildings and as much shade. You're outside quite a bit, so people really love that one for that. So if water ride is your thing, do that. And number 4 is Dinosaur. So Dinosaur is, how do I even describe it? It's a thrill ride, but it's not a roller coaster, but it's definitely bumpy and it's pretty scary. And so if being a little freaked out by dinosaurs is something you want to do, I would highly recommend a fast pass for that as well. Those lines can also get very long, but the ride is totally worth doing. So I've named 4. Again, you have to decide what those 3 are that you really think are important, but otherwise everything else in the park I don't think is as necessary. Festival of the Lion King, I've never really had a problem getting into the theater as long as you line up early enough. If, of course, you have kids or you yourself are just a big character person, then maybe you want to consider the Fast Pass for being the characters at the Outpost. But again, that would have to be like a super high priority on your list to do. If you're thinking attractions-wise and aren't caring about characters, or like maybe that's a last-minute thought to do, then don't bother getting a Fast Pass for that. And that's it. Those are my picks for each park of which Fast Passes I generally get and which ones I recommend people to go for. But I would like to ask the question of like, what do you go for? And especially when it comes to Epcot and Hollywood Studios, of the tiered rides, what's the one that you go for of tier 1 that you can only pick one of? Because I'm really interested to see what people find is the priority. For me personally, Rock 'n' Roller Coaster is a higher priority than Toy Story Midway Mania, but I know a lot of other people would argue otherwise. And in Epcot, I would say Soarin' now is a more priority than Frozen. But again, people would argue otherwise, or argue for Test Track. So I would love to hear which ones of both those parks that you think you would rather use that special tier 1 Fast Pass for. You can let me know in the comments below. You can also tweet me at IvyWinterYT. If you would like to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button. You can also like this video because that's always helpful. And if you know people who are into the kind of content that I put out, please tell them, because that's one of the many ways that my channel can grow, and I just would really appreciate it. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Hopefully this helped with the question that I was asked, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.